Asia Celestino, Filipino woman.
Lachi, again, thank you so much for taking the time to speak. Congratulations on Renegades. I love the series and I'm so impressed by it. But before we talk about that, I wanted to talk about you a little bit, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Yeah, you were born with coloboma of the retina, a condition that meant you progressively lost your vision. So, when you think back on your experience, what do you remember about first realizing that you were different?
Lachi, black woman.
The first time I realized I was different was when I had to have different accommodations in school than the other folks, in terms of my vision, right? When I realized that folks could see the board and I couldn't, and so I had to sit in the front, or I had different sized paper, or I had a social worker that would come in. And I remember I was told that I needed to start using a cane when I was young. And I was like, I absolutely am not going to do that. I was like, I already stand out. I'm already different. I don't want to bring any more attention to being different. And so when I was first told to use a cane, I absolutely rejected it. And I was trying so hard to fit in with everyone else, which surprises a lot of people today because all I do is glam out my canes and shout to the heavens about my different disabilities. But that wasn't the case coming up.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I saw in an article that you mentioned from an early age, you didn't want your disability to be a quote imposition to others. And in your music career working with record labels, they often wanted to leverage your difference, leverage your disability, which made you uncomfortable. So, how has that changed with your relationship to your disability today? You mentioned your cane just being one symbol of that.
Absolutely. I think one of the most powerful things I've done in my life is to accept my disability and embrace my disability identity. When record labels and marketers and this and that were sort of shouting my disability to the rooftops, they weren't doing it from a place of my own power, right? There were some exploitative aspects, some of those aspects of which are touched on in the series that I relate to very heavily. But when I came into my own confidence and my own power as it pertains not only to my blindness, but to my OCD, to my ADHD, to my general anxiety, and to just the different ways that I think and navigate, I was able to proudly proclaim my own disability, use it in my music, use it in my talks, use it in my speech, but most importantly, use it as the way I present, period, the way I speak to friends, the way I stand up for myself, and the way I ask for accommodations in order for me to perform my best.
I love that. And it's so inspirational. You mentioned Renegades. These stories are incredible, and I'm glad that they're being shared because everyone should know about these disabled icons in our history. I
Yes.
learned so much, and I'm wondering what was one thing that you learned in sharing these stories?
One of the things that I've learned is that at the end of the day, we talk about ancestry. We talk about it being through blood. We talk about it being through region. Um, but I felt so much closer to folks like everyone from the senator to Blind Tom to Celestine. I felt a connection, an ancestry in disability, that things that had been passed down, lessons, sayings that have now not only made my life what it is, influenced my life, but also influenced the benefits, the shoulders on which I stand on that helped allow people to see disability the way they see it now. Um, Particularly Brad Lomax and the work that Brad did. And so this idea of disability ancestry has really infused itself into me. And it was such an honor to be on the front lines, to be able to really tell the stories, but also to learn the stories from firsthand accounts from descendants and friends and folks who knew these people personally.
I love to hear that perspective about ancestry in that regard because there are different audiences that are going to see this and react in different ways that they resonate with each subject. So I'm also wondering, for you, what has the feedback been like from audience members so far? What has really stuck with you?
The general response is, wow, I really am excited that this person is being highlighted, right? There's a general consensus of these are just such unsung heroes, or I knew about this person and I wondered why they weren't celebrated more, right? So
Mhm.
that's the general feedback. It's very celebratory. It's very, there's a curiosity that I'm really excited that we're quenching. But there have been trickles of, you know, well, they were a great person. Why are we focusing on their disability? Right.
Mhm.
And that's actually the question I like, because at the end of the day, we want to start to break that stigma by saying, yes, we want to celebrate their different. We recognize that they had to navigate the world differently. And that's why they were able to really lean in and hone in on that overcompensation and become the amazing person that they are. And so that's why we're highlighting their disability, because everybody has something, that thing, that spark, that relationship to disability identity,
Mhm.
that allows them to really hone in and work hard on the fact that they have to navigate a little differently. And we want to celebrate that.
And speaking of celebrations and stopping the stigma around disability, I was so impressed to learn that Renegades employed a majority disabled crew and also utilized an incubator model for filmmaking. That
Yes.
is fantastic,
Yeah.
unheard of, unfortunately. So, what kind of message do you think that sends when it comes to progress, not only in the industry, but in other sectors as well?
Well, one of the things I want to absolutely do is give the flowers to series creator Day Al Mohammed. She was very instrumental in all of this happening, but most importantly, she was very intentional in making sure that it was not only disabled front and center, disabled behind the scenes, disabled subject matter, but also that it was an intersectional disability spectrum. She really wanted a woman of color to be the host. And I think one of the biggest lessons is you get a Lachi as the host when you have a Day Al Mohammed sitting in the seat making the decisions, right? So when people talk about we need more representation, well, yes, we're going to get more representation in front of the scene, on the stage, on the page, and as the subject matter when we start to get more intentional representation, signing the checks, writing the scripts, running the shows, directing the teams, building the teams, and doling out the money, not just receiving the money, but giving it out. And so this is why this is such a beautiful model, and it's working, and we're doing it with a major public network. Are you kidding me? So this shows that this can be done and must be replicated.
Absolutely. Hope this is the beginning of so much change and welcome change at that. I do want to ask you because I saw that you were traveling all over the country for the series. So I want
Yeah,
to ask you some travel questions.
sure.
What does a perfect day with Lachi look like? And we need money. Travel time is no object. You got to get out the house, girl. Where are you going? I want to hear morning, noon, night.
Oh my gosh, that's too much. Listen, Lachi loves to, there's two things Lachi loves to do. I love to get dressed up and look glamorous and walk down the street and be seen with my glammed out cane and my heels and a beautiful outfit. So that's sort of the city version. And then I love to meet and speak with people, especially people who are intentional artists, intentional change makers, intentional world shifters. So you're going to constantly find me trying to find like, where's the Habs? Where are all the people at that I should be speaking with? But then I also love me a good dish and a good drink. So one of the things I love as I was traveling for the series and also all the globe trotting that I do for my music touring and my public speaking is I want to find the staple that I'm supposed to eat and drink at that everyone's like, oh, you're in Louisiana, you have to eat at. But then I also want to find that hidden gem that only the locals know about that they don't want the tourists to know about.
Mhm.
Those are the kinds of things that I love to do when I travel.
So, what is the staple in your city where you are right now?
Well, right now,
What are you ordering on the menu where you're going?
so first of all, I'm in New York, so all of New York is a staple. All
Yeah.
of New York is a national treasure. I myself am a sushi eater, and it's so funny. Everywhere I move within the city, I'm always like half a block away from like a sushi restaurant that I frequent every day because it's amazing. And the sushi restaurant that I frequent now is called Ume, Ume, here on the Upper East Side. And the owner is an amazing delight, woman owned. Okay.
Yes,
And
love to hear it. And what's Lachi's order at Ume?
I'm a sashimi girl. With sushi, it's just too much rice. I just want to get to the food. Like, give me the good, tasty raw fish. And then I am a sake drinker. I got to tell you, one of my seven deadly sins is if you go to a sushi restaurant and you like order a rosé, like, what are you doing? Like, go to a different restaurant.
Oh, absolutely. And I got to get some yellowtail there. So next time I'm in New York, I got to try Ume. But thank you so much for your time. The interview flew by. I'm so excited for the world to watch Renegades and see these stories and see you as the host. It's so good to finally meet you.
Thank you so much, Asia. Thank you for taking the time and thank you for spreading the word.
Of course.